This is my ranking for all the Nightlords in Elden Ring Nightreign from easiest to hardest. After about 80 hours putting into the game and a bunch of failed runs, this is the result of all of that effort. Starting from easiest, we have seeing how this is the only fight I have beaten on a solo expedition, I would say that it's the easiest Nightlord to beat. Things can get annoying really quick when it splits into 3 Wolves of Radagon and their aggro is focused on one person, so the Wending Graces are almost required because you will get clipped. But it is by far easier than others to come and winning is pretty consistent. I would give this a B tier. This is one of the more annoying fights in Nightrign and can be a bit of a slog to get through. The main thing that you have to be careful with is the buildup of sleep, and for some reason sleep damages you in this game. The nuke can be devastating if it hits you, but it won't if you're paying attention. Easily the worst boss in the game and gets a solid F tier. For the most part, this boss is extremely cool and the OST is some of the best work in a From Software game. The frostbite buildup can be a bit obnoxious sometimes, and it's kind of irritating that you never get the actual mountaintop shifting earth for this boss fight. Good thing that this is one of the easier Nightlords though, especially if you are abusing this spell like I am in this clip. One of the better dragon fights in Elden Ring, and I would give this an A tier. This fight seemed pretty insurmountable at first, but if you capitalize on its weakness to poison, the challenge becomes trivial. In this clip, I was pretty unprepared for the boss, but that is an early indicator that a lot of the challenge to this game is how you are able to use the resources that RNG give you and come out on the other side victorious. The second phase can be a bit goofy sometimes with how erratic his movements are, but the later fights make this one look like a walk in the park. All in all, I would give this a B tier. Oddly enough, I didn't find this boss as hard as the ones that follow. He is kind of like base game Radon meets Commander Gaius, but easier than both of them. Some of his AoE attacks can be odd to dodge, but at this point you have probably attuned to the difficulty of these fights and can adjust accordingly. His second phase can have some wonky hitboxes, but there is nothing unmanageable, especially if you came prepared with lightning damage. Solid B tier. I had the most trouble with this boss out of all the other Nightlords in the game. A huge part of that is the process of getting better at the game and that its health pool is so high. The first phase is relatively easy, but the second phase kicks up the difficulty quite a bit and throws a lot at you at once. This is a battle of attrition, and if you were not sparing your flasks, the magic charge, the light spires, and poison will outdo your endurance and pull away with a victory. Fire deletes this boss's health bar, so a build dedicated to that from the beginning of the expedition will do wonders. Another incredible OST, A tier. This is by far the most fun fight of this game. Once you stumble into the flow of dodging the glyphs, the projectiles, the madness grenades, and his combos, it truly feels satisfying to beat him. At this point, I did not find him super difficult, but he is objectively the most complicated boss and punishes mistakes more than the other Nightlords. However, if one of your random teammates makes a deal before the fight, you're most likely going to be doomed from the start, so I may have gotten lucky beating him in just a few tries. Definite S tier. To the surprise of no one, the Night aspect is the hardest boss in Nightrign. I've seen this fight compared to Promised Consort Radon and Millennia, though I'm not sure that I would go that far. I don't even know if I think he's all that hard, but I did lose to him almost as much as Noster. But it's hard to tell how difficult the boss really is, as the anxiety surrounding the fight is more about choking and having to do the 40-minute run back all over again, which can be pretty demoralizing. If you had a sight of grace right before the door, I imagine this boss would not be talked about remarkably. However, the visuals in the second phase are jaw-dropping and just the right amount of difficulty to not set you over the edge and leave you wanting to give it one more try. Not a perfect boss, but a solid A tier.